Welcome, future masters. I have a wild little game for you today. So let's take a look at this and see. All right. I'm playing black, obviously. So d5 is the correct move, as you see by the book. Of course, when I'm playing the game, I don't see these little graphics. If I did, that would be cheating. Fortunately, that doesn't happen, so it's cool. But you got to know, e4, c6, bishop c4 stops nothing. You just play d5 and continue forward. But, he likes to play bishop to b3, which is, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Tomato, tomato, knight c6, knight f6, either of those is fine. Bishop f5, I don't know, is fine. In a blitz game, your goal is to play good moves that don't lose at a brisk rate. You don't have all day to figure out what the best move is. Or you do have all day if you think 3 minutes is all day. It's up to you. That is exactly where that bishop belongs. I got some more fun for this guy lined up. Just in case he has a dream of castling kingside, I'm here to tell him that dream is not good. So this is a real good idea. You might want to look at this position and figure out what you would like to play here. Pause the video and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Did you come up with this little jewel? Now, we don't normally like to move pieces twice in the opening, but the computer even said it was the best move, which I wasn't too sure of. This move seemed like the right move to me. My spidey senses told me that this was the right idea, was to inconvenience his castling as much as possible. Which you could say the same thing about black, but I'm not inconvenienced. I'll castle at will wherever, even though I haven't castled yet. The difference is black can castle on the next move or the move after that. White, not so much. He's got to figure out something to do. Now, the computer did not care for my move, but my move seemed logical in a human brain manner, not in the artificial construct that the computer. Bishop takes knight is a good move. Play briskly. Bishop to a6, I never even considered that move. Now, I'm not saying it isn't better, but remember, in a blitz game, the guy that plays good moves briskly does better than the guy who's taking extra time to play the most accurate move. And question mark doesn't mean that move is bad. It just means that the computer evaluates it as quote unquote bad compared to bishop to a6. So it's one of those things. It's not a bad move. It's just in the computer's evaluation, it's inferior. My other option. But the key point here is that he's not castling kingside today. Not in this game, that's for sure. So, completed my development. I do, now what I want when I want. I'm not worried about this guy at all. So that's all good. We know he's going to castle queenside at some point. I'm just here to make his life inconvenient if I can. Or make him consume time thinking about stuff that he normally doesn't think about because he plays a little goofy, and that means he was out of his comfort zone, and so he has to think about things a little longer. Black has been playing moves that are in the comfort zone of this particular Caro-Kann opening, so there's been no problem going on here at all. I mean, he's moved pretty fast, but eventually this is going to catch up with him. No, wait, where did it say I could do castles? It allowed me to castle short. I'm like, I don't think so, Tim. I got a whole army to defend my king on the queen side, and not so much over here. So, tomato, tomato, you could castle either way. Clearly, the computer says it's better on the king side. I like this queen side version because I'm going to have the C file for my rook, so I'm not worried either way. So this is a personal taste. Sonny, you're not doing this to me. Yeah, knight takes bishop is a better move. I should have played knight takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, bishop takes h2, and you can't do jack. You can't play g3. I would just take it because the f pawn would have moved. So yeah, knight takes e3 was a better move, no question. What I played is still solid. I didn't think this move was really that good for him, and that's why. I thought bishop g5 was a waste of a move. But hey, that's just me. So he took it, which he had to do, really. Or was his best move. I took with the queen, which I didn't know it was the computer said it was the best move, but it allows my queen to do some stuff to inconvenience his position. Yeah, he needed to play queen d2, trade queens if necessary. He didn't do that, so I just took the pawn. You can't, g3 doesn't mean squat to me. I just play knight takes knight. I mean, queen takes knight. Big deal. So he's like, okay. He took it. Yeah, it was fine. Then he plays g3. I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. The threat here for black. Black is just, well, threat maybe not the right word. But, if necessary, I can play queen g6 or queen f6. He just lost a pawn for absolutely no compensation. I can live with that. If he would have played bishop takes knight, I would have been like, come get some. Pawn takes bishop, and then, king c7 and rook to b8. That is not a threat to my position at all. Bishop taking my knight is not a problem because pawn takes bishop. He's getting less material with which to attack my king. My king will go to the super post, king c7. My queen at some point will go to f6. I'll have dark square defenses and a new half-open file to attack with. No problems. Not a big deal, really. But yeah, bishop takes knight is probably a better move. Gee, I wonder if he'll take my knight. He was threatening to win a piece. Not anymore, buddy. Huge mistake for white to play c4. It's as if he literally didn't see what black could do. You should always think, how can this guy attack my queen? Because what happens is he moved onto a square that allows me to double attack him. Knight a5 is a basic double attack. I attack the queen and the pawn with my knight. I'm going to take that pawn for free. And nothing he can do about it. Ooh, queen to b5. If you want to meddle, that move doesn't scare me, Sonny. I've whooped better players than this guy's ever been. And I beat some good players. So that, queen b5 doesn't mean a diddly squat to me. If necessary, I could just play. I'm actually threatening to win the exchange right here with knight d2 check. But I also have the ability to play knight to b6. Another inconvenient type move. When black is clearly winning, I had no idea that this computer thinks I'm almost a rook ahead. I didn't think it was that good. Well, that does nothing to stop my threat. So I execute said threat. It's pretty basic. But the way I execute it is probably different than the way you would execute it. So look at this yourself. Whoops. So now, it's black's move. What would you play here? Oh man, I have so many good moves, it's not even funny. So you might want to pause the video, take a couple minutes, whatever, doesn't really matter, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So I hit him, but knight captures rook. Wah, wah. Terrible for him. It's just absolutely rancid. There's nothing he could do. Rook to b1 is the best move, no question about it. When he did that, I was like, oh, you know what? I can play fancy style. Queen to c1 sacrifice. Make him think feel less terrible about it. So queen sacrifice, take the queen. I take rook takes rook, checkmate. So, he didn't make a lot of bad moves, but he made a couple that weren't too hot, He missed my idea. He had to play what? Rook f to e1? Or queen to b4. Queen to b4 doesn't do anything either. What is that? Queen to b4. He's going to check me? Ooh. I'm still going to check him. He's going to go into the corner. And I'm going to play knight takes rook anyway. What does that do? Queen to b4. Ooh, queen to b6 check. King to a1. I mean a. Whatever, dude. Terrible. Yeah, I mean, that rook c1 was a natural move. But he was already badly losing. 2 pawns down. He's literally got nothing going for him. I'm going to play rook c7 and then rook 8 to c8 and just pound him right there on the c file. He's going to have knight d2 check. Going to eat him alive, essentially, if he doesn't watch it. So it's bad news for white. But that was a horrible one. This was just c4 was a bad move, where his to the eye, c4 looks like a decent move, but the brain says, dude, that c pawn's under attack. I'm going to knight fork your pawn and queen. Now normally people don't knight fork queens and pawns, but they do when the pawn's already under attack by my pawn. And he was trying to create kingside, new kingside threats against my king, but his light square bishop was impotent, to say the least. So that didn't work. Let's go back and see. When I checked him, yeah, right there, he had to play queen to d2 and trade queens, which he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to trade queens because his position is already less than admirable. So sometimes you have to recognize things like, dang, I have to play queen d2, trade queens, and go into this endgame of a pawn down, right? He's not a pawn down. He's not a pawn down. In fact, it says he's got a good position. Oh, whatever you say, buddy. I would say this position is a little bit easier for black to play than white, but yeah, queen to d2 is fine. Queen takes queen. Queen takes queen check. Rook takes. Knight to e7. It's all good. No big deal. Probably a good h6 be solid. But really, the king to b1 move is not good. Again, to the eyeball, it's a very natural move. to play king to b1 to get out of the attack, yada yada. He must not have seen knight takes h2, and he must not have recognized that it's an actual threat. Before, I couldn't play bishop or knight takes h2 because I would lose material, which is what he might have been thinking. You know, in a blitz game, sometimes you'll think of this nugget of information. You know, that, oh, well, if I play knight takes, he plays knight takes, bishop takes, g3, and it's like, do I want to sacrifice the bishop for the 2 pawns? And it's like, okay. So he might have been thinking about that when he played the moves that he played. It's hard to tell because I don't know the guy. But that would explain how a good player would make a mistake like that. It's not a big mistake. It's a small mistake. But that would certainly explain that type of a mistake. I mean, because bishop g5, computer says is the best move. I can't argue with that. I really don't want to have to play f6, and it weakens my e6 pawn. So that's why I did the bishop check, to keep the pawn structure, you know, with good integrity. So just one of those things that mistakes were made. And king to b1, when you're playing, that looks like a solid move. You know, if he just must have missed knight takes h2, and then later on he missed my knight fork on d2. So that's just one of those things that, you know, oh, I see, queen to b4 would stop my knight fork. You know, well, it's all good. It's not a big deal. But it's just a game where the little mistakes can add up on you pretty quickly. So hopefully you enjoyed this game. It was very good. I mean, you saw at the beginning I had it, and I'll show you again. I had no idea I had played a 93% game when I played it. Now that happens because he made a couple of bad moves, and I played the right moves because his bad moves were bad moves, and the obvious move was winning, which is how I ended up getting 12 best moves out of however many moves I played, 30-something moves. 26. Oh, it's close. So, I mean, a good game for me. Can't complain. Hope you guys enjoy it. You know, like the video, subscribe, get more gold like this. You guys know what to do. I'll talk to you later.